Hello, I'm Donnie Kemick with Omnis Technologies, and I'm here with Zach Ball and Hunter Ford of Omnis Technologies. We're going to walk through some of the basics of ransomware, some things you need to be aware of, and also how you might be able to protect yourself from it a little bit. So I guess just to kind of get started here, can one of you just give me a basic overview of what ransomware is?
Yeah, so ransomware basically is just, it's a malicious program that when it gains access to your system, it makes it so you're not able to access files, usually by changing the file extension and then encrypting it in a way where you just can't access anything.
Okay, so basically you get this thing and then your machine is locked, right?
Yep,
The
and you're
files.
usually met with some sort of like demand of money, or it's usually Bitcoin, so it's untraceable and everything like that.
Hence the ransom part.
Yeah, the ransom
Right.
part.
All right. So they're holding your machine ransom in, so they want you to make some sort of payment to decrypt and unlock.
Correct. And the range of it's like very, it could be like $50 for like a home computer, or, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars.
Okay. And how does one accidentally get a ransomware virus?
Normally it's through phishing. That's, I would say, is like the highest, just clicking on an attachment you're not supposed to.
Okay. And I think we've seen folks that they could get an email or something from a perfectly legitimate contact that that has unfortunately also been infected by whatever this ransomware virus is, and then it just kind of goes through their contact list, sends everybody an email with an attachment that looks legitimate. You open it, now all of a sudden you've been infected as well. Does that sound about right?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, and then I've also heard of folks bringing in maybe like a thumb drive from home. They have a machine at home that's been infected. They may not even know it yet. They bring in a thumb drive that has files on it, plug it in, they open a file, and unfortunately that's been infected. Have we run across any situations like that?
Not with ransomware. I remember a couple of years ago we had a client that got infected with the shares being hidden,
Okay.
but we haven't actually seen ransomware transferred on USB or any kind of flash drive yet.
Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't happen.
Right.
But no, that's not something we've witnessed yet.
Okay.
Mostly phishing. The other exploit we've seen is coming in through a remote desktop, and them actually gaining access and installing it from there. But those are mainly the two ways that with our clientele, that we've seen people getting infected.
They click on a link on a website, they open an attachment, something like that, that starts the process.
Yes.
Okay. What are some kind of well-known examples of ransomware attacks?
Well, just recently in December, the city of New Orleans was hit, and they were even put into like a state of emergency due to it, because it got in and it was inhibiting their traffic signals and stuff like that. It like just daily life sort of things were impacted.
And do you have any information on how they recovered from that, or if they ended up having to pay the ransom?
I don't believe they ended up paying it, but it took them multiple days to just start getting things back, because they probably had to work from backups, I'm assuming, to get everything back online, which is, if they get hit with ransomware, if they have good backups, it's one of the easier ways of not having to pay the ransom and getting back online.
Okay. And I know of an example of a publicly traded, massive company that they're actually out of Canada. They got hit with ransomware. Their entire company was down, and they ended up paying the ransom because they couldn't afford to have, thousands of employees.
We even see it with because hospitals are a very popular target for ransomware, because, if patient data is being held up for so long, it can impact patient care, so they're more likely to just pay it out. I know there was a healthcare provider in Ohio who was hit, and I think they paid the ransom within 3 days because they were losing upwards of $50,000 in revenue a day.
Right. Yeah, it can be massive, and at some point, even if they're asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's, unfortunately, sometimes the path of least resistance, or the path to getting back on track, is just, it's more affordable to pay the ransom, which is, awful. There's actually companies that are specifically set up to be intermediaries between a large company that's been hit by ransomware and the whoever's holding the ransom to try and negotiate a better rate. And that's what this publicly traded company ended up doing, but they still paid a small fortune to get access back to their systems. So you touched on something, recovering from ransomware, and I think like one step before that, what are some ways that people can protect from getting ransomware?
Just having good, consistent like training with users on making sure that they can kind of notice when something's a little fishy, highlighting like links to make sure it's the actual link it says it is, and then also restricting users' ability to run certain installers and things like that. Because if they can't run the attachment, then what it'll do is it'll try to run, but then that hits your antivirus or your whatever software you have monitoring the computer, and then it alerts the IT department, and then that should, or whoever takes care of your IT work, basically.
Okay, so backups are key. You have to have a backup so that you can recover from having your files be encrypted. So basically, we're saying if you have an on-site backup, you should also have an off-site backup, something in the cloud. And in the event that you do get ransomware, that backup is going to be your safety net that you can come in, lay back over top of your system, and so you're not trying to work off of encrypted files. And then obviously we got to button up whatever caused the initial ransomware attack to happen. If you're someone in business, you've got systems and things that you are obviously concerned about potentially getting infected with ransomware, what are some of the steps you can take to, safeguard your data and at least make sure that in the event that you get ransomware, you're minimizing, its impact? What are some of the things you can do?
For one thing, antivirus and having maybe reduced permissions on your common user so that even if they were to click on something, it won't immediately cause issues because they can't run the file, so it shouldn't encrypt anything. And then also having it so reducing users' ability to get to, the whole network, because if whoever's permissions that program runs on, they can only get as far as that person. So
in a smaller business, it's probably a little higher risk because typically you've got 5 to 10 workstations and almost everybody has access to everything. Whereas in a larger organization, it's a little easier to lock down, at least departmentally. Say this HR has access to HR files and sales has access to sales files, so they can't always cross over and infect cross-departmentally. So smaller businesses are probably at a little more risk, I would imagine.
yes, definitely.
Probably they're more relaxed with restrictions
Right.
than bigger companies would be.
And so another safeguard that we've seen come in handy is the use of on-site and cloud backups to be able to recover quickly. Can you touch on that maybe just a little bit?
Yeah, there's many software solutions out there, depending on the size, how much data you have, what frequency it needs to be backed up. But we can always look in to see what someone has and then go from there. Local is great, but we've even seen ransomware infect delete backups of like Windows Server backups. So having almost a separate standalone is better. And then you can have Carbonite, Mozy Pro, Cetera Cloud Backup, and then that's completely separate because it's on the cloud and it can't be touched. So it's redundancy. People get sick of hearing it, but it's redundancy.
Yeah, you got to have multiple layers of backups.
Yes.
And we've seen in our own examples of being able to restore pretty quickly, thankfully, from cloud backups and get an organization back up and running. So if you've heard the word ransomware now, hopefully you have a better idea of what it is and how it can impact you. If you have concerns about it, you want to just talk through options, we'd be happy to help you. You can visit us at omnistech.com, and we would look forward to having a conversation with you and making sure that your data is safe. So Zach, Hunter, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks.